Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome and good morning in California and around the world. Good morning, good afternoon. Welcome to the time management training, one of my favorite trainings that we have. It's an extraordinary training for all of us because time is critical to what we do and what we say. And so let's get started. Utilizing time is to understand that it is the only limitation that we have, and it's a man-made construct. And so we want to utilize our time according to our values. We want to utilize our time and bend time. And the first thing that I like to talk about with time is to understand that time is dependent on the speed of light. And so if we want to be more productive, accessible, and gracious with our time, for me, are my three lenses that I want to do. Productive means I want to provide as much value as I can, service, whatever it is I can with my time. Accessible means I want to be as accessible to others as I can and access what I want. And of course, I want to be as gracious as I can with my time, meaning I want to be able to find the light, the love, and the lessons within the context of time, which in the context and the parameter of the speed of light. If I can figure out what moves faster than the speed of light, then I can control time. I can utilize time in a more efficient, productive, accessible, and gracious way. A lot of people don't think about time as a man-made construct. They see it as the actual limitation or infinity that they exist upon. Not me. I see that thought moves faster than the speed of light, and therefore if I have the right thoughts, I can actually utilize my time in a productive, accessible, and gracious way. If you want your time to last a long time, be miserable. The more interference, the more corrosion, the more void, shortages, and obstacles that we put into our own way, time will lengthen itself in its perspective or illusion. When we're closer to the truth, closer to the light, closer to the lessons, time changes, it bends. It actually not only moves faster in its productive, accessible, and gracious way, but it allows us to get more done, allows us to feel as if the time was longer, not because it seemed or appeared to be a long length of time, but in the actual quantitative measure of time of productivity, accessibility, and gratitude. I learned the most lessons today. I served the most people today. I provided the most value today. I received the most I could today. I was accessible to as many people as I can, which is why gratitude is in my prayers in the morning and at night. It's why I pray for over 10 people every day that I can help. All of these things allow me to understand time in itself as a construct, a man-made construct, in order to utilize it effectively. I believe one of the things that allows us to utilize time and manage time more effectively is to understand our habits and our disciplines. The habits and the disciplines are things that create efficiencies, effectiveness, and statistical success. And it's the biggest challenge that the human body has, is to be consistent and persistent in its nature, to continually be inspired, not just motivated. Motivation, as you know, will get you up, get you back up, get you started, get you back started, but inspired. It will get you in spirit. It'll clear the interference and the connection to what you want and where you want to be. And in order to do that, we have to be counterintuitive. I've created a habit machine in my life. I believe that each minute in a repetitive manner is exponential to itself, meaning that 2 minutes a day is worth more than 2 hours on a Saturday. And when you're confident and have faith that 2 minutes a day is worth more than 2 hours on a Saturday, you manage your time differently, because you now can create your habit machine with that faith that the 2 minutes is worth more than 2 hours. And so you end up being conscious and improving what? Lowering the bar. Lowering the bar. And what happens when you lower the bar is not only do you get an exponential result, which is more efficient and effective behavior, and productive, accessible, and gracious, but even more importantly, when you lower the bar, it's easier to get motivated because we're taking bite-sized steps. We're taking small baby steps to get started. It's much easier to get motivated to work out if all I told you was put on your shoes. And that's actually how I started working out again, was I told myself, I just want to put on my tennis shoes today. That's my minimum I want to do. But when I put on my shoes, I ended up putting on the rest of the things. Then I ended up saying, you know what, I'm just going to drive to the gym. Then I said, oh, you know what, I'm just going to go in. I'm just going to do 10 minutes. And I ended up doing 30 minutes of exercise my very first day by lowering the bar, trusting and having faith that a few minutes a day is worth more than a few hours on a Saturday. The habit machine is the key or critical component that you're trying to work on. So as you're developing things that you want to get done with your time, you really want to take a step back and look at how's the machine working in order to get that done. How is my discipline, strategy, awareness, and habit machine working to get what I want done in its most effective manner? And that leads to what I think is the mathematical equation of being productive, accessible, and gracious with your time, what I call the power of 64. Now, the power of 64, if any of you want the power of 64 exercise, just email me, david@dmeltzer.com. It's in my book as well. More than happy to send you that, pay for shipping, david@dmeltzer.com. Go ahead, reach out, more than happy to do that. Most importantly, the power of 64 is how, as people mentioned, did I make $1 million coming right out of law school? I beat people with my time management. And I beat them with the power of 64. And the power of 64 takes into consideration that most people, at best, are 8 hours productive a day, 5 days a week. So there's 40 hours of productivity that most people have activity they get paid for, at best. Now, most people don't give that much productivity, even though they're paid for it. That's one thing to keep in mind. Most people aren't engaged. They're not clear, balanced, and focused on what they're doing. They're not motivated and inspired in what they're doing, and they don't have the correct habit machine to effectuate productivity, accessibility, and gratitude. By using the power of 64, you can now set forth the objective. And what I said was, you know what? I have the desire that I must be what I can be. I am going to be 16 hours productive a day. Because I know I had a comp plan of $250,000 right out of law school as a salesperson in the internet. And if I could sell twice as many hours, then I would increase or double the statistical success that I had and be able to cut my number in half. Because I would be 16 hours productive a day. And then I said, what if I could create efficiencies in what I do by creating the systems, by learning the lessons, right? By utilizing my three-pronged approach of one, doing the best I could every day to be productive for 16 hours, learning as many lessons as I could, and having fun, right? Always do your best, learn lessons, and have fun. If that's your approach to everything, I promise you you'll be fine, and you'll be able to create the productivity that you want, for example, 16 hours a day, and create the efficiency through the lessons that you learn with that productivity. Remember, not only will you be twice as productive, but you'll learn twice as many lessons. And all of those lessons will lead to being twice as statistically successful. Meaning that if you only on average, if every 10 opportunities on average of 8 hours of productivity, people got 2 sales or successes, what if you increase that to 4? Then you would be able to go from 8 hours of productivity to 16 hours of productivity to 32 hours of productivity to 64 hours of productivity. 8 hours to 16 by just doing the work, by being consistent and persistent. 16 hours goes to 32 by being twice as efficient. 32 goes to 64 by being twice as statistically successful. You actually can have 8 days of productivity in one day comparatively to what other people are being paid for or activity that they get paid for. Now here's another thing. If you believe like I do that there's no work, that there's no jobs, there's just occupation, and you allow this to occupy yourself, meaning that you have learned to love what you do, and you have learned to have the light, the love, and the lessons from it, then you can do that 7 days a week. And so now I was getting 56 days of productivity while everybody else was getting 5. 11 point something times more productivity every single week. So when I made over $1 million in 9 months and blew out the comp plan and everybody was giving me accolades, acknowledgments, and awards, and most importantly, the money, I was laughing on the inside because mathematically I'd never hit my comp plan because I had worked, almost 10 years in order to hit the number. What everybody else had been based upon 1 year of activity they get paid for with 8 hours of productivity, 5 days a week, 40 hours of productivity. And that 40 hours of productivity is on my side 56 days of productivity a week. So use the power of 64 In order to get there, lower the bar. You don't have to have 16 hours of productivity to utilize the power of 64. If you want to just try to have 8 hours or 4 hours, you need to focus in on the systems and efficiencies to be twice as efficient, twice as statistically successful in what you do. And the power of 64 will take any comp plan or any objectives and create a division of it and allow you to use the multiple, the acceleration, the growth, the exponential growth, I should say, and the compound interest by learning more lessons. Now, in the systems that we do, I also found something else that's very, very helpful. The math of saving time. Under time management, we want to create systems that save time. And, I started by analyzing, what do I do every minute? What do I do every hour? What do I do every day? What do I do every week? What do I do every month? What do I do every year? And I created these lists, and I took and analyzed what I was doing, and then I started with the things that I did every minute, and then every hour, and then every day, and I figured out how I could save time with the things that I did most often. And, I'll take, for example, every day, like many people, hopefully almost everyone, I brush my teeth, I floss my teeth, and take a swig of Listerine. And I don't know if you do this, but especially in the morning when I brush my teeth, I would lose track because it's early and I'm daydreaming, and I lose track of which teeth I've done. And it would take me about 6 minutes to brush my teeth, floss my teeth, and take that sip of Listerine. Once I realized I could create a system and put everything in the exact same place, so I wasn't looking for my toothbrush, the toothpaste, or the Listerine, make sure that I had a system to start on this side, go to this side, do this side, do this side, do this side, do this side, and then utilizing that efficiency, I went from an average of 6 minutes now to 2 minutes. 4 minutes a day I could save, twice a day. Those 4 minutes a day, morning and night, that I was able to save 4 minutes a day. Each 4 minutes that you can save is 28 minutes a week. That's 112 minutes a month, almost 2 hours a month of productivity. That's 24 hours of productivity a year. I just gained 3 full days of productivity because I learned to stay focused when I am brushing my teeth, flossing it, and taking a swig of Listerine. All because I saved 4 minutes. So I went on a quest to challenge myself to save 4 minutes a day. And by doing so, every time I figured something out, or a combination of things, an aggregate of things to save 4 minutes, I was rewarded with 3 days vacation. 3 days that I could do whatever I wanted. 3 full days of productivity. I could make money, activity I get paid for, and occupy myself with whatever it is and call that my occupation, just for finding 4 hours a day. Now, just to bring quantitative value to everyone, I'm going to give you 2 weeks vacation right now. That on average around the world, that's people spend 80 hours a year looking for things that they didn't put in the right place. And the majority of the time is spent looking for only 2 things: your wallet and your phone. So take this piece of advice, this takeaway, if you're going to take anything else out of this training of time management, and always put your wallet and your phone in the same spot. Have a designated area to put other things that you may lose as well. And I just gave you 80 hours of productivity, 2 full weeks of average productivity for everyone else, vacation. You can do whatever you want with it. Where's the trade-off? Would you rather take the time, a few minutes, to figure out a system to put your phone and your wallet in the same place and give yourself 2 full weeks of productivity to be of value and service to others, accessibilities, to be accessible to others, and more importantly, even be accessible to what you want, to access what you want, and most importantly, more gracious, more lessons you can learn, more light you can find, more inspired the way you can live. All because why? You found a place to put your wallet and your phone. So seek 4 minutes a day, seek 2 minutes a day, get 12 hours of productivity or a day and a half of productivity. It doesn't matter. But if you get into the habit machine of seeking the efficiencies, the systems, the productivity, accessibility, and gratitude, you'll be able to do so much more. You will bend time because the speed of thought moves faster than the speed of light. And when we think of things and we create systems, we are able to bend time. That's how the greatest self-actualizing people are able to produce so much. Have you ever wondered how Elon Musk does it? Have you ever wondered how he can do all the things that he can do? Because he uses his higher power of thinking. And he looks for the efficiencies, effectiveness, and statistical success. He utilizes the power of 64, having his own habit machine, and utilizing 4 minutes a day, 8 minutes a day, 12 minutes a day, whatever it might be. And when you figure out the lenses to use, I call it the Meltzer kaleidoscope, the lens of productivity, accessibility, and gratitude. And when you figure out the power of 64 and how to be more effective, efficient, and statistically successful, now you need a platform in which to effectuate that. So have a CRM, an SFA, some sort of management, project management tool that you want to utilize. And if you want to know, my recommendations of what I use, etc., just email me, david@dmeltzer.com. I'll help you and let you know. But be a student of your time. What does that mean, be a student of your time? That means, as some of you may have heard me say once in a while, utilize the mathematical equation of luck. You need to be able to pay attention to time. Where am I spending my time? How effective and efficient and statistically successful am I with my time? And then give intention to it. Give intention to it. Be consistent with your time, persistent with your time, pursue with your time your potential. And by utilizing that, by being a student, what you pay attention to plus what you give intention to will equal the coincidences that you want in your life. Yes, a mathematical equation to luck. Why? Because when you have the coincidences in your life that other people want or that you want, they'll be like, oh, he's so lucky. Oh, she's so lucky. Can you believe they got that job? Can you believe they invested in that? Can you believe that they're able to do that? They're so lucky. No, they're utilizing the mathematical equation by being a student. Now, I use my calendar and I study what I have planned. And I use the lens of productivity, accessibility, and gratitude in what I have planned every day. I also use the rule of 520. And people misinterpret this a lot, but it's changed my life. I branded myself. So if you're out there and you want to have a call with me or a meeting with me, I have a 520 rule. I keep my phone calls to 5 minutes for one reason. Because after 5 minutes, I'm just visiting. And when you get to the visiting time is time that I want to spend with the people most relative to me. And so I do make exceptions to the 5-minute rule because there's people that I meet that I want to visit with. But as far as getting productive, accessible, and gracious with my time, keeping all my phone calls to 5 minutes without the visiting or a tiny bit of visiting is the most effective way to do that. There are exceptions when I want to visit, when it's necessary to visit, but most of the calls, you don't have to visit. Most of the calls are to communicate effectively, to be productive, accessible, and gracious in its manner. I schedule visiting time with my family, friends, new clients to build rapport. I schedule that. But that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about people wasting time. You want to save 4 minutes a day, utilize the 520 rule. 5-minute phone calls and 20-minute meetings. And 20-minute meetings allows people, one, to focus in on being concise. Do not have meetings to have meetings either. That's cheating. But go ahead and try to keep all your meetings, your interviews to 20 minutes so that you are effective in your time by being able to communicate. Because after that, you're just visiting. You're just entertaining. And we want to use the visiting and entertaining hours effectively and efficiently. My wife helped me with the 520 rule because I was at home as a younger executive and I'd get a phone call at dinner time with my beautiful 4 kids and my gorgeous wife, and I'd answer the phone and get up and talk. And finally, my wife asked me, she said, Dave, why do you care about people that you don't even know more than you care about your family? It's like, what are you talking about? I care about you guys. This is why I'm on the phone call, because I'm trying to provide for you. Don't you understand? She said, I don't. You don't know that person, or if you do, it's not very well. And this is our time. Do you want to visit with them or visit with us? I'm like, I'm not visiting. She's like, after 5 minutes, you're visiting. And so I started to utilize my time more effectively, understanding visiting time versus productive, accessible, and gracious time, effective, efficient, and statistically successful time. The 520 rule will save your life. If you can't do 520 because it is years of experience in order to be able to effectuate the value that you need or stimulate interest, transition interest, share a vision within the context of 5 minutes, I get it, then do a 1030 rule. Whatever it is, be conscious about productivity, accessibility, and graciousness with your time comparative to visiting with the wrong people. Pick and choose and prioritize where and how you use your time, utilizing Eisenhower's matrix of important versus urgency, but also utilize it to figure out your time and your time management of who and where and how you're spending that time according to what? Your values. Once again, so important to take inventory of those values, personal, experiential, giving and receiving values. And if you're able to do that within those lenses, that Meltzer kaleidoscope, and you're able to use and be a student not only of your calendar, but a student of time and time management, to use your higher power thinking to move faster than the speed of light, you can do twice as much, or even 8 times as much, or 80 times as much. You can be more productive, accessible, and gracious 80 times more each day. Imagine what that does to your learning zone, your comfort zone, and where it puts your anxiety zone. I know people that can't even handle opening up their mail. I know people that it takes literally a half a day. I got to go to lunch. Literally just spinning in their own direction, getting so busy being active, they forget to make money while they're in the occupation of making money. See, occupation of making money, that's what I'm in. I'm in the occupation of making a lot of money, helping a lot of people, and having a lot of fun. That's my occupation. You can give it whatever title you want. Another time management tool is understanding prioritization. Now, I have a do it now philosophy. 100% of the things you do now get done. And it's all a matter of processing and prioritization. I am looking always in the context of my values, and I'm making a prioritization by what's most important first, and then determining what's most urgent of those important things. If something is just urgent, which a lot of times we allow things that are unimportant to be urgent, and then they set us off track and we forget to do the important things. Let me share a story with you real quick that's just, to me, remarkable. Is that I would have a deal and the person would give me, call me back in a month. And I literally had it in my calendar. I look at it every day. I'm going to call this person on July 6th, call this person on July 6th, call this person on July 6th. And then July 7th come and I'm like, oh my God, I forgot to call that. I waited a month for the biggest sale of my life and I forgot to call. That's because I'm not a student in my calendar. I'm not paying attention and giving attention to utilizing the lenses of productivity, accessibility, and gratitude. It's because I didn't do it now. It's because why? I didn't prioritize. Each day you need to prioritize. And I usually prioritize as one of the qualifiers of my personal experiential giving and receiving values. I have a strategy calling, I'm right-handed. I always say, cut your right hand fingernails first. Why? Remind yourself to do the most difficult or challenging things first when you have the most energy, the most frequency, and the most focused at the beginning of when you open up your eyes after you've created your baseline and your frequency from the day. Utilizing your time and time management, one of the other things that I do in prioritization is I prioritize my frequency of time. What does that mean? I start my tomorrow today. Why do I have to listen to the rules of the world and say that, tomorrow starts when the sun comes up or my eyes open? That doesn't make any sense. If you do that, you're already creating challenges, voids, and obstacles for you. Because if you're not utilizing a plateau and growth strategy to start your day at a higher frequency, for me, I use an unwinding routine every night at 9 p.m. Pacific time. Notice I even keep track of the time zone because if I'm back east, it's then midnight. I stay on the same time. And I unwind to put my physical being in the best position to recover, knowing that the better that I recover, the higher I start the next day. But also my subconscious, unconscious mind is at work. It's active during sleep. It's learning. It's clearing. It's allowing while you're sleeping. Your subconscious and unconscious mind, They are connected to the greatest source of power, light, and love and lessons. Do not disconnect it. So start your day by unwinding the night before, putting yourself in the position. And then I use meditation when I wake up to transcend all that I've learned and all that I've rested into my day. So instead of starting at the bottom of the hill at the same exact spot I start every day, doing the exact same things with the exact same void shortages and obstacles, I now have plateaued and grow. But more importantly, I've created a baseline that allows me to understand when something triggers me to move or accelerate in the wrong direction, away from the values that I have, personal, experiential, giving and receiving, that I'm able to be productive, accessible, and gracious with my time, because I can identify that I'm not at that baseline, the plateau and grow, the higher self that I was, and I continue to learn, I continue to have fun, and I continue to look and see what we're learning and growing. So 1, I'm doing my best. 2, I'm learning as much as I can. And 3, I'm having fun. And then finally, we want to limit the interference, the voids, the shortages, the obstacles. Eliminate the distractions. Our minds can only focus on one thing at a time. I know people talk about multitasking all the time. That's just the use of the refocus muscle. It is not, you cannot concentrate or focus on 2 things at once. You can appear to, in fact, I can appear, because for the last 16 years I've been practicing refocus, eliminating distractions, because I know it's a muscle that I go and focus here, but I'm also looking beyond here, looking here, reading, and also checking my emails. And it appears to anyone else because my mind, my thoughts, my data input is moving faster than the speed of light. So it appears to be bending time, it appears to be multitasking, but it only comes from building a muscle of refocus. If you can eliminate distractions by building the muscle of focus and refocus, you can bend time. The faster you can go back and forth between 2 things, for example, and practice that, and gather data from each thing with 2 different things that are refocusing on each other, then you're able to appear as if you are multitasking. You're able to be more efficient, effective, and statistically successful. You can bend time. Live your life with the kaleidoscope of productivity, accessibility, and gratitude. Utilize the power of 64. Look for 4 minutes, 8 minutes a day. Change your life, change your productivity. Find out a place to put your phone and your wallet. Save 2 weeks of vacation from me, the greatest gift I could give you. Eliminate all distractions. Be a student. Utilize and be a mathematical equation of luck by making sure you're paying attention, giving intention, and getting the coincidences that you want in your life. Time is manipulated. Time itself is a man-made construct. You can determine how to construct it. Time is a man-made construct. You construct it for yourself by lowering the bar, creating a habit machine, using the power of 64. Everybody, if you want the exercise on time management, if you want my book on this or the power of 64, david@dmeltzer.com. Just go ahead and email me, david@dmeltzer.com. I'd love to do it. We'd love to see you. All right. I didn't tell you, but the questions are there. Thank goodness. All right. We're going to start with questions here online and then move to Clubhouse. We'll pick somebody up. Let me know if you have any questions. We'll get to explain here. How does your past experiences reflect onto current situations you're experiencing? So the past experiences that I'm having are what I determine, they're the judgments and conditions that I'm putting on my present and future, right? They're the context. It's what I perceive. So I'm always looking backwards to give myself context to the present or the future. And so past experiences need to, number one, we utilize gratitude from it, because the best thing we can do with the past is learn from it. Find the light, the love, and the lessons. 2, forgive ourselves, because when we find the light, the love, and the lessons, we'll realize we could have done better, and so forgiving ourselves. And then 3, be accountable. ask ourselves, right? What did I do to attract this to myself, which will also process that lesson. Don't live in liability. Too many people are stumbling over the roadblocks behind them of the past. They're creating more void, shortages, and obstacles, or paying attention to what they don't want and getting what they don't want. Use the past to put into context the lessons that you want to utilize in the future to expand, grow, and accelerate, to put yourself in a better place, a better situation. All right, I'd like to call up Aaron White. Aaron, what question do you have for me?
Hey, good afternoon, David. Thanks, y'all, you and Matthew, for both having this coaching room. I was in it last week, or maybe it was Monday, and I basically applied some of your advice. Just to recap for those, basically I was asking David, what should I do? I'm 25 years old, sales marketing manager, trying to get into business aviation, but have not done that in the past. And I was kind of asking him, how do I go about showing myself that I'm an asset, presenting myself to these companies, and getting over that barrier of what is your previous experience? And essentially, David just told me to use that experience that I have currently, that sales marketing experience, and the passion, and just go straight to these exec level, VP of sales, CEOs, operations guys, and have a conversation. So I have an update on that, and that will lead to my next question. Essentially, I presented myself to them, told them about the city I live in, Nashville, Tennessee. They've heard things about it, and I said, hey, this is a new market. In 5 years, I think we'll be as big as Atlanta, as popular as Austin. I think that it would be worth looking into. They said, okay, prove it, write a market report. So now I'm tasked with creating a market analysis on Nashville and essentially how Nashville can help huge companies like NetJet or JetIt get kind of a return on investment if they come into the market. So my question today to you, David, is following up from that. What are some key aspects to add on to this market analysis that will really stand out to these execs?
Yeah.
Something that I can't leave out. Thank you.
Yeah, so there's 5 things you can't leave out, and the number 1 is the most passed over of all things, and that's credibility. So you want to find the most credible, stable data that you can to base your business case on. So many people forget about credibility, and they ruin their entire context of their business case because they relied on either unstable data or discredited people or data. And so make sure that you have credibility in the data and the stable data that you're making your business case on. And then 2, emotional attachment. You know the emotions of what they like and what they don't like about certain cities they're already doing business in. So make sure that you make yourself equal and then utilize what they like to make yourself equal, and then solve the problems of what they don't like to establish a delta or an appreciation of why they should do business in Nashville. And then finally, the last 3 things that you should make sure you do is to articulate the quantitative value of the reasons in the business case that Nashville is a viable place to expand, the impact it's going to have on the business and on Nashville. Remember, people are always looking to be of service or of value. So not only should it impact the company, but it should impact Nashville as well. And then finally, understanding the capabilities that you have and being able to quantify the capabilities of the company today and seeing how it accelerates, grows, and expands the capabilities as you expand, accelerate, and grow into Nashville. If you make sure that your business case is credible, has the emotional attachment to determine the quantitative delta or appreciation or margin, and then being able to articulate the quantitative value through a reasoned analysis of the stable data, the impact that it has on the company and the city, and then finally the synergistic supplementary capabilities that you will exponentially grow and accelerate to and through for the company, they will not see any reason they wouldn't want to move forward. Does that sound fair, Aaron?
So I'm tracking. I'm writing notes down for you, David. So I've got One is credibility.
Oh no, we'll send you the replay, my friend. We got time. We got more people waiting. So it's credibility, emotional attachment, reasons and impacts. I will send everybody, including you, Aaron. I have it all typed out. Just email me, david@dmeltzer.com. I'll send you the worksheet on those 5 things, everybody. It's also in my book. So if you want that, david@dmeltzer.com. Not a problem. Just send me the 5 criteria, okay?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Sorry to cut you off. Thank you. All right. Next question online when I bring up Maureen Mackenzie Rupel. Let me answer this one online. Hi, David. I'm so enjoying your material. I agree that time is a man-made construct. You talk about taking your eye off of time and focusing on acceleration and growth, detaching your emotions from the outcome and putting your emotions onto the pursuit, the consistent, persistent pursuit. Correct. How do you feel about Napoleon Hill having one of his steps be determine, quote unquote, a specific date for your goal? I'm in huge disagreement with Napoleon Hill on this, and Bob Proctor, by the way. I don't understand why you want to limit yourself. If you know that you're living in between limitlessness and infinity, if you know man-made construct of time, why would you limit yourself by giving yourself a specific date? Why not rely on or apply your emotional attention and intention into the pursuit of that by saying something, instead of saying I want to make $1 million by the end of the year, why not say I want to double the amount of money I make as fast as I can? I might make $4 million by the end of the year, but I'm always doing my best, learning and having fun. And the best way not to create limitations or interference or avoid shortages and obstacles for myself, because what happens when we put a specific date? That date gets nearer and nearer every day, which creates more resistance, stress. It creates a true illusion of time that there's some deadline to what we're doing. It allows us to take our focus off the wrong thing. It attaches us to an outcome, which is completely counterintuitive to what we should do. We should attention and intention and emotion to the consistent, persistent pursuit to increase the acceleration, growth, and exponential success that we're going to have. So instead of saying you want $1 million by the end of the year, or you need this by the end of the month, just do it as fast as you can. Learn as many lessons as you can and have as much fun as you can. And if you do the best that you can, and you want something as fast as it will come, rapidly and accurately. And the way that we do this, by the way, and I'll get to Maureen, the way that we detach our emotions from the outcome is a 3-law property. 1, the law of gravity. We need to be happy where we're at. The minute we start saying we'll be happy when at the end of the year I make $1 million, or at the end of the month when I do whatever, instead, I am exactly where I'm supposed to be at the right place at the perfect time. Now, I'm going to detach my emotions from that outcome. I'm going to go ahead and do everything I can to double the amount of money I make as fast as I can. I'm going to angle towards that, meaning that I know that I have lessons to learn. So I'm going to do my best, and I'm going to learn lessons which will angle me or pivot me or change with the direction I'm going in. But that itself is the law of Goya. So you got the law of gravity, the law of Goya, get off your ass, to finally get to the law of attraction, which says, because I've detached my emotions from the outcome, reduce the limitations, resistance, and interference to what I want. Instead, I'm in a persistent pursuit of allowance, meaning that I already have what I'm pursuing. I just have to figure out how to clear the interference between me and what I already have. In other words, I have faith, no matter what, that if I implement the law of gravity, the law of attraction, that the law of gravity and the law of Goya, that the law of attraction will be into play and I'll allow what I want to happen. In other words, I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be. I'm angling towards what I want, and I have faith I'll end up somewhere better. So I am 100% in disagreement with Napoleon Hill, which is very rare, and Bob Proctor. Do not have a specific date for your goals. Do the best that you can, have fun, and learn something. You'll get there a lot faster with a lot less resistance. Okay, Maureen, what do you have for me?
Hi, I'm Maureen. I'm so happy to hear you speak. You give such tremendously wonderful insight. As a coach, I'm just looking for some of this insight for me. I have a coachee who has a goal and is committed to the goal, but the accountability towards the activities that the coachee has established for herself, each week there are always other activities that she works on, almost busy work, and as a result, never moving forward. But she's satisfied with that. And so through powerful questioning, she's more than comfortable in not doing what she says she's going to do that she feels will move her forward. And instead, every week, there's just other activities that fills her day, and she seems comfortable. And I'm feeling like I'm not serving her as a coach, so I'm just asking for some advice.
Thank you. That's a common occurrence with a lot of people. In the context of making money, a lot of people get so busy being busy that they forget to make money. And other people feel as if they entertain themselves with activity that will get them to where they're supposed to be. And so what we need to do is to understand two things. Coaching is bringing the best out of people. And so what we start to do is we need to hold our clients as coaches accountable. And so that we need to be able to, through accountability, ask them, did you do your best towards your objective? So if their objective is to make as much money as fast as they can, or to heal a relationship, or to, spend less time in ego-based consciousness, or whatever their objective may be, get funding for their company as fast as they can. What we want to do is, as a coach, not only bring the best out of them, but hold them accountable and say, what activities were directed towards or had resulted in a success of what we talked about, action items that we listed out and prioritized last week, yesterday, last month, whenever your periodic coaching is. And I have found, for me, and I have every other week with my one-on-one clients, I have straight out accountability calls. I'm on call 7 days a week, guarantee profitability, but I have accountability calls, and I will make sure that my notes, and I ask specifically, what did you do? Did you do your best to meet what we're trying to do, whatever those accountability action items are? 2, what did you learn? Right? I think you're missing, that question, especially because it's a very subtle way of holding someone accountable. Let me give you an example. I speak in front of all these people. I love it. And they literally, Maureen, will stand hours. And it amazes me. And to get a book, get it signed, and tell me that my speech, changed their life or was so inspirational. And I'll say to them, really, what was your number one takeaway? And they literally be like, and so ask people what their takeaway from the week was. Ask them what the lessons that they've learned were. Hold them accountable. And then you can get to the perspective of productivity, accessibility, and gratitude. When you can find the light, they can have fun.
That was wonderful. Thank you very much.
You're awesome. Thank you, Maureen. I just have to say this about Maureen. I'm rambling on the wrong thing. Normally you're cutting off the person who's asking the question. She's cutting me off. Like, I got it, man. Just shut the F up. I love you, Maureen. That's awesome.
Run off and coach someone now.
You're good. All right, go coach.
Thank you, dear.
I love you, dear. Thank you. That's amazing. All right, I'm going to take a question online. The informable, amazing Christina, you're up next. So get ready. You're on deck. How are salvation, and I consider salvation the reconciliation between me and what I'm connected to, the light, the love, and the lessons of what I'm connected to, happiness. Salvation has a religious connotation that took me about 15 years to get over what it actually meant. Salvation is understanding what is coming through me, the power of what it is. And forgiveness, how are those the same? Well, they're reconciled in the fact that if you want to be connected to, without interference, the greatest source of love, light, and lessons, you need to forgive the interference, right? You need to forgive when we have the need, all the triggers, the need to be right, offended, separate, inferior, superior, anxious, frustrated, angry, guilty, resentful. We need to forgive ourselves when we're in the unconscious, subconscious, egotistical continuum or consciousness, and we will find peace through forgiveness. That peace is salvation, right? They're the one and the same. So forgiveness and salvation, happiness, the clearing of the interferences, voids, obstacles, and resistance very simply is understanding the reconciliation of happiness, salvation, and forgiveness. Forgiveness brings peace. Peace is salvation. I love that question. All right, is Christina ready?
Hi, I'm ready. Hello, happy Friday.
You should just have a business of cheering people up. You're like the clubhouse candy striper. Just hearing your voice makes everyone smile. Give me a raise hand or a thumbs up. Spoot your mic if your voice just makes you smile. Go ahead, Christina.
Oh my gosh, you're like the sweetest. I love you. Thank you. Okay, I'm sorry. I got distracted by Candy Striper. That's amazing. I gotta take the picture. Okay, so my question for you is, as you can hear, energy in my voice. I'm a very energetic person, and I realize I need an extraordinary amount of rest. And I feel like lately I've been kind of beating myself up for this because, like, when I need a lot of rest, I'm talking like 9 hours a night and maybe even throwing in some naps in there. And it's really difficult because sometimes I'm like, oh, gosh, wow, I'm such a lazy person. I need so much sleep. So can you help me break this down a little bit? Because when I'm on, I have energy, and I need a lot of rest. So can you just speak to rest in your philosophy and thinking about that, please? Thank you.
Yeah, so people that need a lot of rest, it could be multiple things. So I think we fall into the trap that people will say, oh, you need a lot of rest because you're stressed, because you're sick, because you're overdoing it. There's all these reasons people will give you. So it could be because you're expanding, growing, and accelerating, and that you just need to recover more because you're going through a transformative period of your life where you're in the learning zone, close to the anxiety zone. And it's not necessarily a negative stress. It could just be growth, right? When little kids are growing, right, they sleep longer. It's just like I use the analogy of being stuck. When kids are stuck in their shoes, it's not a bad thing. I mean, their feet are growing. And so many people in business think when they're stuck, it's a bad thing. It just means their business is growing. It means they're changing. And they feel stuck because they're in a smaller space. So for you, what we want to do is just determine, by taking inventory of why we need to recover more. Why do we need to rest more? Are we overdoing it? Are we stressed about something? Are we creating interferences, voids, and shortages from the light, the love, and the lessons, the great power that we're connected to and through? Or are we going through a transformative process? Or are we sick? Right? Get checked out and find out if our physical being requires more rest because we've caught some sort of virus, or we have some sort of imbalance. We've created a new interference between what we already have been given, which is our perfect health, our perfect wealth, and our perfect happiness. And when we don't have health, wealth, and happiness, what we first do is shift the paradigm to see what's interfering with it. And do not just rely on one person, including Dave Meltzer, telling you, oh, it's because of this. Well, what I do know is you need to recover because you're interfering with that pure flow, but it could be a good thing that's interfering with it, like growth, acceleration, and it also could be something else. So I would go ahead and utilize your free will to determine what you're doing to interfere with your energy so that you have more energy, or determine that you don't need more energy, you need actually to expend less energy so that you don't need as much rest from what you're doing. There could be a balance or a variance or a reconciliation between all those. The key thing is to remind yourself that although you are in a higher recovery mode, that you're exactly where you're supposed to be. Continue to angle towards what you want and have faith that you'll end up somewhere better. Sometimes all of these challenges, transformations, the bigger they are, I would say the bigger the door and the bigger the place you're going to and through. So do not create more resistance, interference, because you have a necessity to sleep 9 or 10 hours all of a sudden. That does not mean that you want to add on to the amount of recovery you do by worrying about it and wishing for what you don't want. Does that sound fair, Christina?
Absolutely, yes. And I love how you put it in such beautiful perspective. And again, it goes back to it's not good or bad, it's just perspective. It's like, what can I learn? How can I clear So I thank you so very much for illuminating that for me. I really appreciate you, and this is awesome. Thank you.
And with that voice, you could always just read yourself a bedtime story, and you'll put yourself right into a higher frequency of just pleasant feelings with that melodic, angelic voice. So thank you so much, Christine. I love having you on here. Thank you. I'm going to take another online question as Chris Arnaldo comes up to give us his question. Get ready, Chris. I'm going to take a quick question online. All right. Advice for a person who does live for the weekends. Okay, so I know a lot of people that need to take 6-week vacations. I know people that are dying to get to the weekend, and I understand why. I understand that you have not taken this time management training, that you don't know the exponentiality of time, and that you don't have faith in it, that your body, mind, and soul all work in a continuum where 2 minutes a day is worth more than 2 hours on a Saturday, that you can take vacation, you can have an occupation 7 days a week, and you can look forward to every day. I look forward to, when I'm in my unwinding routine, I look forward to being granted a new bank card that's full of 1,000 wishes. And those 1,000 wishes, I'm going to try to utilize as many as I can with the best I can by doing my best, learning my lessons, and having fun. In no way am I looking forward to the weekend next month, next year. I am looking forward to the next moment, the next hour, and maybe tomorrow when I'm in my unwinding routine. I live for now. I know my what, I know my who, I know my how, and I know my now. And I'm going to utilize my why as a free will to clear away the interference of my what, my who, my how, and my now. I'm going to utilize it as a tool for when I trigger myself to get into the primal fears that make the blood rush from my mind into my body so I can't think anymore, leaving and rendering me a complete mess, accelerating me in the wrong directions by creating more voids, shortages, and obstacles. The advice that I have for a person who lives for the weekend is to start taking inventory of their what, their who, their how, and their now. Live for now and utilize the not. Look, when, real quick, and I'm going to take Chris in a sec. People always tell me, well, if I take inventory of my values, what about my big, long-term, audacious goals? Don't you think when you take inventory of your values, when you take inventory of your personal values, and maybe one of your long goals is to live longer than 111 years old, like one of mine? Well, I take that in consideration each day. It's inherent within my what? My personal values, my experiential values, my giving and receiving values. It's inherent, the objectives that I have of living to a minimum of 111 years or doubling the amount of money I want to make as fast as I can. So I can live in the now with the directive or focus and clarity and occupation of what I want in the future. It doesn't have to be separate. So don't live for the weekends. Weekends are man-made constructs as well. So are vacations. All right, we will bring up Chris Arnaldo. Chris, what do you got for me?
David Meltzer, thank you so much for the platform. I have a question for you regarding passion versus being profitable. I am super, super passionate about helping young people because I was, once 18, 19, in my 20s, helping them get started on the right financial foundation. However, that necessarily does not, pay the bills, right? My core clients, they pay a premium to do business with me because of the value I provide, for them. But my passion, again, lies, with the young people. How do you balance all that out in making sure that, I don't put too much focus on one area or the other?
Perfect. I love that question. Thank you so much. I incorporate, right? So most of the difficulties, challenge, and advice that I give is a result of being separate. We don't think in the terms of both or reconciliation. We think in terms of either or. So for me, I incorporate helping children in everything I do. I ask those people that I'm engaging in collaboration of activity I get paid for, do you know anyone that can help me? I'm trying to help these kids. And I utilize my time effectively each day to personally, if I want to help in that direction, by giving my time, giving my money, whatever I feel is the best use of my capabilities in order to help those kids. I utilize that and incorporate it in all the people that I meet in person, on the phone, via email, and traditional and social media. I incorporate it by asking, do you know anyone that can help me? You know, my passion or my true love or my purpose, which is greater than my pain, is to help these children. And I love also and have passion for the activity I get paid for, but I'd love to incorporate you in my mission. Do you know anyone that can help me? So what we do is we create a separation by predetermining that separation when we should be creating a collaboration or an incorporation to allow us to work together and have an abundant philosophy that there's more than enough of everyone from everything. You can have fun and make money and help people. And those all come together. You just have to have radical humility and the creative curiosity to ask one simple question. Do you know anyone that could help me? And you have to have the capability of determining, one, if somebody has a closed mind, because those are a gatekeeper, and we don't want to waste our productivity, accessibility, and gratitude on someone that's going to take 1,000 times the energy compared to figuring out, especially if it's already activity we get paid for, some of these great clients that you have, that they're sponsors of yours. They're there to help you as well. And they may be power sponsors of yours. They're there to help you. But if not, at the very least, they're going to be just plain sponsors, not power sponsors, but they're going to know somebody to help you. And I think a lot of times, just through our own ego, that we create a separation within the passion and purpose and profitability realm. They are not mutually exclusive. I will repeat to everyone, they are not mutually exclusive. You have the capability of reconciliation, remembering, and reminding yourself that they are one. That we just have to be able to be the catalyst or the incorporator by having an abundant, radically humble perspective of, one, determining whether someone is a closed mind or an open mind, a gatekeeper or a power sponsor or a sponsor. And you will see that your meld of passion, purpose, and profitability will come back together into a unified, abundant nature. Does that sound fair?
Absolutely. Great stuff, David. Thank you so much.
You got it. Change the way that you look at things, the things you look at change. I'm going to take a quick question from Yandra Brian. Hopefully I didn't name butcher that, but please state your name so everybody can laugh at me instead of...
Yeah, no, you got it pretty close. It's Ayandra. So thank you so much, David. Ayandra, thank you so much for this room. So I have two questions. I've been battling with something, and I wanted to know, I'm very big into attraction and vibrations and all that stuff. How do you know when to keep going towards something? So I'm currently right now, I've been, in a period of transition, and I have had some amazing meetings with one person in particular, and I feel called to continue to pursue that. But how do you know to keep going and pressing forward and following up and emailing and being aggressive, or just to be effortless and just kind of, let things happen, as they say, don't push. If it's meant to be, it's meant to be. How do you know that? And then the second question is, I'm telling myself, you need to call again, but how do I know when it's my ego speaking and not my intuition?
Well, it's always, if there's interference, void shortage, it's always your ego speaking. The secondary fears are always a trigger to the primary ego. So it is the ego speaking. It's always, you can't find outside of you what you can't find in. But the first question, when do we know when to stop? Well, I use a 3-no rule. Excuse me. I'm losing my voice on the very last question. 3-no rule says that when I'm pursuing something and I don't get a response or the response I want, that's 1 no. And that response that I didn't get could be from myself, that I forgot to call, or I had a flat tire, or something else happened. And so what I use is a 3-no rule, that I make a request of some sort, I don't get the response I want for whatever reason. On the third time, I go ahead and let the person, hey, I'm going to attend to people that I am engaged with at this time that need or want or have my help. Please let me know if you'd like me to continue to pursue this. If not, let me know when. And then I stop. I allow them, and about 50% of the time, all I've done is accelerated them to call me back. I've compelled them to move forward, which has a value, but not nearly the value of the people that never call me back, because they've just saved me so much time, emotion, and energy of chasing a closed mind. And I'm utilizing the 3 no as a great qualifier of the universe of not creating more resistance, voids, and shortages, and using and staying in the flow to be and enjoy the consistent, persistent pursuit of my potential, while being realistic that I'm going to pursue the lowest hanging fruit, the open minds, the sponsors and power sponsors, and not try to go over, under, through, around a gatekeeper. Does that sound fair?
Okay, yeah, that sounds fair. And then after that, then you kind of just let what happens happen.
Correct. And you'll see that 50% of the time you've compelled them to move faster, and the other 50% of the time you've really valued it because you're not chasing something that's not going to happen, or the universe is pushing you into a better place, a better situation. Thank you so much, everyone. We ran a little bit over. Unlike me, I'm a time freak. Remember, if you want any of the guides, Power of 64, the 5 criteria, or my book, david@dmeltzer.com. I will be happy to join me next Friday for training. Please reach out to me if you need anything. david@dmeltzer.com. Remember, all of these are replayed on the playbook. You can download the playbook, my podcast, share it, like it. The playbook, it's on every single platform, Apple, Google, Spotify, personal featured there. Check it out. Once again, david@dmeltzer.com if you need anything. Remember, everyone, be kind to your future self and do good deeds. We'll see you soon.